I really can't
But
stay.
baby, it's cold outside.
I've got to go home.
It's cold outside.
This evening has
Been
been
hoping that you
so
drop in.
very nice.
I'll hold your hands just like I.
Subscribers will start to worry.
Beautiful, what's
Subscribers will be pacing the floor.
Listen to that fireplace.
Really,
Did you just say don't leave your magic in the box?
No, you did. You're terrible.
It's the most wonderful time. Oh my gosh. Penny, how are you? Welcome to Whiskey and Bagels, everyone. I'm Conscious Medium Brandon Ross, and with me as always
Is astrologer and life coach Penny Dix.
we are
Good
just on fire
morning.
today. What's that,
Good
love?
Good morning, Brandon, and good afternoon to me.
Good morning. How many drinks have you had?
I've had one that size, and this is the second because you were late today, and I'm waiting for
I
you.
was late. Well, the rabbit died, so we're all set. Second of all, what? That's an old. You don't know that colloquial? So
No, it made me think of Fatal Attraction and bunny boilers.
oh God, I had that experience. Let's not go there.
No.
We have nothing but joyous things to talk about today.
Jupiter!
Well, we're gonna actually be premiering our video here on this show, if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah, it's okay
Yeah,
with me.
kind of a cool thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're going to be showing it here towards the end, and we're going to talk about the experience of making the beautiful song "Baby It's Cold Outside." We modernized it a little bit to subscribers and people across the world, and it's fun. We're also going to be donating proceeds to the Ukrainian support relief effort.
Yeah.
It's something that you're going to be able to download it. You're going to be able to see the video. You're going to be able to watch it. I figured out how to have it be monetized without it, and having the proceeds go right to them. So I don't even have to lift a finger, which is even better.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
it was funny because I really, like, this week, I kind of got really taskmaster-ish about like the channel and all of that other good stuff. And I really kind of rebuilt the studio from the ground up. I don't have any more audio issues. I plucked everything apart. I figured it out. I started another a podcast that I'm really pleased with. And just to make sure everybody knows, Whiskey and Bagels isn't going anywhere. This is in addition to. This is not meant to be anything other than my outlet. And I really made, a very conscious decision to do this because I saw a lot of, I see what's out there in the lexicon, and there are 1,000 card readers. There are 1,000 astrologers. And as much as I appreciate people having their take, I'm going to build them into the show. How people appreciate my take on certain things. I'm going to build it into the show where I'm going to talk, where once a month I'm going to do, a podcast about it, but I'm going to do it in the format of a podcast.
Yeah.
And I've got
And
great guests. Yeah.
Can I compliment you on the actual production of the first one that I watched yesterday? Because you had one tiny little sound issue, but nothing that irritated me. But the actual production in terms of the bits that you slot in, the sort of the technical stuff, was brilliant.
Well,
As was the subject
I
matter.
appreciate that. It's really meant to be it's really meant to be like a produced show. Like, that was the goal.
Yes, and it had that, can I say it, television quality.
Well, thank you.
So well done. Well done.
Thank you so much. As we are getting into television quality. And, I also noticed this, and this kind of goes into our astrology conversation today. I was really noticing that I was externalizing everything. I hear a lot of people talk about finding their tribe and getting to where they need to. And I had to take a long pause because I realized I was trying to externalize everything. I was trying to get people to do my editing. I was trying to get people to produce it and, all that other stuff. And one of the things that, part of the reason why you and I click so well when we start our conversations is you're prepared, like, your stuff. I've said it 20 times, like, you are committed to the astrology. I understand it and interpret it, but I'm also doing 7 other things as I'm connecting with it. So for me, it's one of the tools in the toolkit. You are an expert carpenter. You are working it through. Can you do mediumship? Sure. Do you understand tarot? Sure. But when you come in, when you get called to a job site, you're doing astrology. Where for me, I'm doing 15 other things too. That's the difference. And
Yeah.
for me, that I needed to build a platform around that.
Mm.
And I've seen you take off. And I know everybody's kind of like, oh, you guys are always, kissing each other's ass and that sort of thing. This is what friends look like, guys. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
what friendship looks like.
I defended our friendship. Somebody commented on one of our videos, and and what I said was, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and I still hold by that to the person that commented. They were critical of you and were like, kind of, Penny, you don't need this dude, kind of thing. And my answer to that is, yes, I do, because first of all, I'm an incredibly loyal person because I'm Taurus.
You're such a Taurus. Yeah.
I'm very Taurus and I'm very loyal. And that is not the only reason. I actually have absolute belief and faith in what you do. And I know that you are trying lots of different angles at the moment to find your completely right niche.
Yeah.
And all of these journeys that you're taking and making are going to help you find ultimately the niche that is right for you. And whilst I'm talking about niche, that's where I was lucky and fortunate to meet Andrea Britton, because when she got round to branding me as Penny Dick's Astro Coach,
which was a big combination for you. Like you needed that behind your scene.
But what I'm saying is, she was very strict with me in the sense that she said, we don't need to know you're a Reiki master. We don't need to know you read tarot. We don't need to know you can be a medium. We don't need to know you are an actress. We don't need to know you're a singer. We need to know you're an astrologer, and that's what we're promoting. So
and
she
what people need to know.
Down.
Yeah, and that was really, I mean, I think that's a common challenge. I think this is a really good conversation because I know probably the majority of the people that actually watch us are the people that are developing and the people that are, that do this
I think
on a
interested
regular
in
basis.
astrology. They are the people that are interested in astrology.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing of it all is that this is a very real conversation. I mean, part of what you guys get from us is that very real conversation of like, hey, good job with this, and hey, I could have done that, and some of the behind the scenes stuff, which is going to start ending up on my membership site when you start your membership stuff. It'll be shared with that, and it's.
I'm waiting for 10K. When I get 10K, then I'm going to start membership.
Yeah, and you know what? You're right there.
5.6.
You're right there. I mean, how many subscribers did you have when we started doing Whiskey and Bagels in March?
Something like 480. I love you, Brandon. I tell you what, I know people.
You did it though. You did it.
I did it, but you gave me the confidence and the belief in myself, because when we did the first Whiskey and Bagels, I didn't know we were going to do another one. Right.
I had a whole series in my head, and you were just like, we're going to do this again.
Yeah.
That was episode 1. It was so funny because
and then I go, oh, okay.
You're like, oh shit. Okay. Well, I need to go get more makeup. I think you said something like that. You're like, I need some more rouge.
Yes. Do you like my new ring?
Oh my gosh. I saw that was me. I think it looks like the moons of Saturn.
I know, but this is really interesting because and I am going to plug her. She's a lovely English jewelry designer called Tara Lois, and she recycles old gold. And so she actually made my penny for me.
Yes, the Saturn penny.
And this is 3
How are you not a rapper? How are you not a rapper?
Yeah, I know. But this is 3 dress rings that belong to my mum. And she's managed to bind them all together, weld them all together to make this knuckle duster.
Like, in a bar fight, like, at 2 a.m., if you don't like the dude, you're gonna.
Hang on a minute.
Yeah, and that's you, staking your claim when you're in your promo shots, when you're like, when you're doing that with the, and you're running into it. That's awesome. I think it's important to find your voice, and I think that's one of the things that we talked about earlier.
I think I've had a problem with that, have I?
No, but I think Andrea let you know you've got a lot of things to say, but go here. And with whiskey and bagels, we kind of went here. And it's funny. I got the hate mail too, and it's funny. So the book is out. By the way, I'm going to put the Amazon link below. If you haven't ordered an autographed copy, I got to pull back a little bit because my schedule, you're not going to get it for a couple of weeks. I already ran out of books. I have run out of books. This one's actually pennies. So when I don't, and I'm walking
I can assure you that will not arrive by Christmas.
I can assure you that it will, because I'm walking there right after this, and you are actually going to get it.
You're going to give it to me by hand.
Oh, wouldn't that be something?
Now, wouldn't that? We could record
that.
Yeah.
Ding dong. I have bagels and whiskey, dear. Do you have the whiskey? But it's funny. I'm gonna tease this one more time. You got to stay on for us to go here at the end, where we're gonna actually show. This will be your first shot to do this.
Aren't you going to give a little taster?
Yeah, I could. I mean,
just a little.
They're already here. Beautiful orchestration, right? You're welcome.
Can't hear it.
Oh yeah, no. Well, oh gosh. Oh, you know what? Perfect. I'm glad you couldn't. That was a true teaser. When I share it, I have to share the audio too. I didn't do it there. But isn't that great? Isn't that great? Like, even when I screw up, it's like, oh, I meant to do that. But I think all of these transitional things, back to this. So the asshat that sent me the email, who was a regular commenter and was actually, I thought they were a friend of the show, and they still could be, but not on my channel. I blocked them. They really went at me hard about, they were just very opinionated and very angry and very much like, what am I doing starting another show? And you forgot where you came from, and Penny
they're defending me.
Penny made you like that. I thought was funny. And I was like, oh, you really don't understand like how this works. And I've had to explain to a couple of people over the last few months, like, there's a genuine, we really are genuine with each other, and we're flirting because it's our nature, and we're, and we go a little over the top, and we go a little.
No, we flirt because we fancy the pants off each other.
Course.
Come on, Brandon.
You actually make it sound like I'm not wearing any, because
be honest.
No, I'm not. By the way, we're already, and next week we're going to tease this. We're going to do a live whiskey and bagels. We're going to do this live, and we're going to go as long as we need to. And I might have a few drinks in me. I might have special guests stop by. I think you should, have people sit with you, and I'll have people sit with me. I mean,
I'm not sure that'll work here, but I'll see what I can do.
You, what do you mean how it would work?
Well, there's only room for me here. There's only room for one of us.
Sound like a Sith Lord all of a sudden.
You know what we are kind of acting out?
Is this going to go back to my mother again?
Jupiter moving into Aries.
Oh gosh, I love it. I love your segues. Your segues are smooth like butter. I'm going to have to correct this here. How do you like that? And I just happen to have that shot sitting here. Well, Jupiter.
There you go.
Jupiter going into Aries is a pretty.
On the 20th. So it's actually next Tuesday, isn't it? Tuesday. And the significance of this is because not only did we have a taste of Jupiter in Aries for, I think it was like 2 or 3 months this year, but it then went retrograde again. It went back into Pisces. It went to visit Neptune again. We got that kind of spiritual overload.
Like an ex-girlfriend you can't say no to.
Yes. And Jupiter moving into Aries, it's the first sign of the zodiac. So this is so symbolic and such a symbolic time that it just cannot not be talked about, because it's the first sign of the zodiac. We are starting another journey with Jupiter around the sun of 12 years. And what I think is also super interesting is that next week is really packed with very interesting astrological energies, and it's the week leading up to Christmas.
It's tons, and you're wrapping up, the new, into the new year. You've got, we're going to have Mercury going retrograde. You're going to have some key.
The winter solstice next week, and we're going to talk about that on our live. We're going to talk about the winter solstice. We're going to talk about Saturnalian behavior. We're going to talk about
Saturnalian.
the pagan festival of the Yuletide. And also we have the Capricorn new moon on the 23rd. So there is, and that is the day that, segue, Chiron goes direct in Aries.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that too, because it's also, I mean, it's a far-reaching thing for me, you know, having my Chiron in Aries. I get 3 Chiron returns in this last couple of years, and it started 3 years ago. And 3 years ago, I was burning shit down. Now I'm applying what my healing stuff has been, and you know, and I'm not just doing knee-jerk reactions. And it's funny, it goes direct. I mean, here it's showing 1156, which is an 1111, but I know that's more consistent with the Jupiter. I know when it goes direct, and Chiron goes direct, it's at a different angle. But taking a look at Jupiter sitting in the 10th house, this is a call sign for careers. This is a call sign for prosperity. This is a call sign for, you know, making dreams come alive, you know. And I'm seeing, the economy here locally, restaurants aren't making it anymore. They're
Right.
getting pinched on cost and labor availability. And another beloved 80-year-old place that was the best Italian food short of Italy, is closing. I mean, the recipe is going to the grave now. Like, it's one of those places. And I'm also seeing other people go, yeah, I'll give it a try. I'll throw my hat into the ring. What's success? What does success look like? And I really applaud people that are taking, this is not an easy environment to open up anything right now. And I see all these crystal shops that won't be open this time next year.
Yeah.
Like, I know it. I also know that the restaurant business, the restaurant supply chain thing has to take a really hard look at itself to be like, is anybody in this business? Because it's getting close to suppliers saying this isn't worth it anymore. Our costs are too high. And that's when we're really in trouble. So, you know, this is a good time for new solutions to come in. This is a good time to be like, I'm going to keep the dream alive. Know you're coming into this environment, but know that you've got a lot of these tools to really kind of help it. And the idea that it's in Aries is the first house. So what it means to everybody's personal astrology is that your rising sign is getting a Jupiter in the butt right now.
That's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
so as Leo rising should take off.
It gives every single sign an opportunity to begin again with something that perhaps they've left to one side, not followed through on. It's like we've got all these kind of double whammies in the next week, really, because we've got the winter solstice, which is a chance for a new beginning, the new moon, chance for a new beginning, Jupiter moving into Aries, chance for a new beginning, Chiron turning direct, chance for a new beginning. It's just super exciting from that kind of, you know, and I think that at a time of year when a lot of people all over the world are feeling the kind of financial difficulties caused by all the various events that have happened in the world this year and over the last 3 years, I think that it's a particularly uplifting astrological energy that I think will help us all move into the holiday season. And maybe even though we can't perhaps splash out financially in the way that we would like to, we will still nevertheless be able to have a really good time.
I think the good time is absolutely rising because, you know, you've still got this little bit of flush out here with Mars, you know, being in retrograde in Gemini, you know, and it's sitting right there in the, so you might be still a little prone to fly off the handle. That's why I'm saying just be planned, be cautious. It's part of the reason why I just put everything down and I just sat in this room for like 2 days and literally did nothing, which was killing me because, you know, Mars in Capricorn in the 5th house does not really do that very well.
Yeah.
But for me, I had to do it because I had to reflect it. If you're going to jump into that, don't be foolish about it. Be very planned. Know that you got to have your head on a swivel and you're going to do this stuff. But the amazing thing with this, and I think this is the part that's really, really cool. Oh, You know what? I can't do the plan we were going to do on the 21st.
Why?
I was going to show up with whiskey, guys, for me.
No.
I can't. I have a gig that night.
Oh, shit.
I have
Oh,
to do
my-
readings. They're
Right.
they're old friends. Maybe I'll just get half in the bag.
Maybe you just allow yourself to have one little tot.
I can't. Didn't you just hear me? Mars and Capricorn in the 5th house. I don't do anything happen during
And also,
Sagittarius, nonetheless. Oh no, 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 no.
and listen, honey, you're a Pisces. Pisces have no boundaries.
Really? After you go through your 3rd Chiron return, yeah, boundaries. Just to let you know. Just to let you know.
But you know, it's important.
What did you say you're gonna strap on your head later? All
A
right.
strap on.
Yeah, I know.
No, that's what I thought you said to me.
No, I didn't. You just somehow magically heard that.
Well, you said something about you were putting something on, and I
Let's
thought,
talk about pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps, and you're like, I have a strap-on dildo. I'm like, what? What is up with that? How did you get there? The hell do you do on that island?
listen, when it's cold outside.
I really must go. You know what we should do next time? Next year when we record it, I'll do the lead part.
Well, I really must go. And I go, but baby, it's cold.
And then you convince me to stay.
Mm.
Oh, we could still pull that off.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, you're going to be able to
yeah.
put that on iTunes by the end of the day today, and all that other stuff. And like I said, the proceeds. Anyway, so yeah, so back on this chart though, this is a precursor. I think this is doing a solid because as we get into the solstice, as we get into the idea of the renewal base and the Yule tide and all of that, for Jupiter to kind of say, and Jupiter's kind of had a really big play in the winter solstice here, 4 out of the last 5 years. It had its conjunct with Saturn. It also moved, I think it moved direct. No, it moved into retrograde. I think it was in, I could be wrong in this. I think it went retrograde in Virgo a couple of years ago, the year before that. So there were some like announcements that Jupiter has had this year. The Jupiter is, I'm going into Aries. I'm going to make everything better. It's time to get your act together. The fact that Mars placement is sitting there, still kind of saying like, being the trickster and retrograde in Gemini the way it is, little impulsive, that sort of thing. So just know that sometimes reckless abandon isn't the way to go. The Fool card is a beautiful card. However, you want to make sure the Fool still has a plan, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
The Fool, people think it's reckless abandon. The Fool still plans it, right? The Page of Sword is reckless abandon. Let's just swing the sword till we hit something. That's you could run that risk of being that. That's my take on it. But I think it's beautiful energy. I think this is going to be a very good conversation for people.
Yeah, and remember, this is the day before the solstice, so we've got the sun is at the sort of last degree, not quite in this particular chart, but it's moving up to move into Capricorn on the 21st. So it feels like with the astrology of next week that we're shifting up a gear. Just when
level up. Level up.
Yeah, it's like it's shifting. It's just shifting gears. And we're finally moving out of that Saturn-Uranus square, which has been so challenging for everyone over the last 18 months, really. And Saturn is moving, forwards in Aquarius and doesn't actually go retrograde again. It will go into Pisces I think it's in May. So you've got this wonderful sense of movement at last, so that next year we actually have some different energy to play with.
Yeah. Well, I think this is, the last like 18 months have really been gut check time, and I think a lot of light workers have struggled. And that's why I think a lot of light workers turned on one another. I think that's why there was a lot of seediness. That's why I think there was a lot of, and listen, we're all culprits to our own story, but I think that when you when you can't look at the problem and you target the closest thing, that's a sign of immaturity. And, those are some of the things I saw up front, both of myself and other people, where you're like, oh, did I really just blame this person? Because this person had nothing to do with this problem.
Yeah.
This has to do with me. And then how I go about it is I'm just going to go do it. Right. I'm just going to,
Mm.
I've got to go about it differently. And I think that from this chart and this energy that we're moving into is taking lessons learned and moving towards a new thing, right?
Yes.
And being able to say astrologically, oh, I thought I turned that off. I'm sorry, guys. Astrologically, I think that, we're getting into that easier time. I like the way you said that, because I think, we've been a little fire and brimstone, at times,
Definitely, it's been
because
tough. And we can't kind of pretend it's anything than it is, because it has been tough for the last 3 years. There've been times of respite during that, but and I think what's so super important is that people begin to realize that even when times are tough, you can flip that to a positive.
exactly.
And that what a lot of people tend to fall into, and probably both you and I did when we were much younger, is we allow ourselves to kind of fall into the tough bits, the negativity, rather than thinking, I ordered oranges and I've got lemons. I'll make lemonade.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
isn't there a part of this too, that it's that maturity, that forced maturity? I think astrologically, that's what we've gone through over the last couple of years, is this
yeah,
forced maturity. The United States with its Pluto return, it's a forced maturity. We don't
yeah.
have room for people to be like, I don't really like that piece of paper, so we're just going to abolish it. Did you just try and ban the Constitution? Like, that's the shit that people are looking at going, how'd you get this far? How did you even get in charge? Like, how did you great what they represented, but horrible how they executed? And that's the
Yeah.
stuff where our maturity now kind of comes into play. Don't you also think, though, that, like, on a personal level, and this is where like coaching and conversations come in, is, don't you think that people are really kind of the people that are finding their way are really figuring it out, and the people
Yes,
that are incredibly lost, this ain't going to be easy. Just because we move into an easier time, this just gives you the broom to sweep it under the rug again. Don't you agree?
I do, because I
Yeah.
think it's almost like we're coming up to the sort of the dividing of the Red Sea. There's going to be the people that can walk through that divide to get to the other side, and there's going to be people that suddenly realize too late, and the gap closes.
Yeah. It's it's that window of opportunity, and we talk about that often. And when you look at astrology and you see things like triads, those are windows.
Yeah,
Triads are the window of astrology, and you have the energy of squares, and you have the energies of conjunctions, and you have the energies of each one of the signs in their houses. And what you don't find is the ability for people to reflect on that and find it. The people that don't find it important are really gonna be the ones that are lost. The
mm,
ones that I kind of chuckle about are the ones that know the difference, and we're like, oh, I'm too busy to do that right now. And and I noticed this, being able to slow myself down and finish and write a book. I'm sorry, did I just plug that again? The ability to do that was my cathartically, I needed to write that book, for my own healing, for my own understanding,
mm,
to be like, it's not all bad. And I wrote a lot of things that will never get published because I worked through it, and I had a really good
mm,
filter. And my shout out to Daryl, who edited this book, because she literally would say to me, like, I get you're angry, but do you want to say it this way? I get that and some of it I wasn't even angry at a person. I was angry at a situation, where I was angry that it happened the way that it did. And some of it had nothing to do with me. The personal stuff is a whole other conversation. There was a thing in the book, where, this kid got picked on mercilessly and ended up committing suicide. And he came through in a reading, and I like unabashedly swore for 2 pages, because how do humans get away with this? How do humans act this way?
Mm.
And energetically, when I look at this stuff and I see what we just went through, well, the bullies kind of got right-sized. People that might have taken a strong stance or dabbled in trying to be authoritarian or that sort of thing just got the smackdown. This is an easier conversation. And when you look at the bigger picture, like, the politics of things. By the way, how's the politics of Britain right now?
Oh, yes.
You see what I'm saying? Where now
Oh,
it's
yes.
kind of, it goes back to a little bit of the normal, the old normal.
Well,
And then it's like, but we can't go back to the old normal. We're
mm,
trying, like, there's a segment of people that are trying to go back to the old normal. And then there's a segment of people, but you just showed us yourself. You can't just sweep that under the rug anymore.
mm,
And that's the point I'm trying to make. Like,
mm.
we're coming into this new, and maybe that's what enlightenment is. Maybe enlightenment truly is, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Maybe that's
Oh,
what the
yes.
definition of it. Does that make sense? And
That makes total sense, because through the whole process of psychotherapy is, once the therapist has enabled the other person, the client, to become aware of something, they can't forget it. You can't suddenly sweep it back and hide it. It's there. And I can remember the things I used to say to my therapist in the early days, before I was even training. I used to say, but how, just by knowing it,
yeah,
will it change? How does this affect it? And he just used to very patiently say, because you can't become unaware of something I've made you aware of. It's just not possible.
I
What,
I think people really, I agree with that. And that's really what awakening is, isn't it?
mm,
Isn't it truly the awakening, the understanding of how that kind of comes to be? And I think one of the real potentials into this are that, I don't know how to say this necessarily.
just say it.
You and I understand the dire urgency for the humans to get it.
Yes, yes.
I think that when we start to talk about that stuff, we kind of, even on our little YouTube world, people tend to go like, all right, they're kind of going off of this. For David Icke and all of his, insanity, he's passionate about where he's going with this because he believes in it.
Yes.
And for, whether you're talking about Graham or Tsoukalos or, Green, any of these people that are on the cutting edge of this awareness idea, Nassim Harriman, anybody that's got this connection of like, I see it, I just don't know how it works yet. That's really what we're coming into. I think we're about to step into a time where the people that saw something was coming, we're about to realize how it all works.
And it's like, what I'm visualizing is there's almost like a queue of people, of which you and I are also in this queue, and we keep moving further forward. And as you get to a certain stage, you get to a point where you can start bringing in more information that has to be given out there, and I know you know what I mean. And it's
I love
just,
the way you're explaining it.
thank you.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm using the media, if you like, or the medium
Right.
of astrology, because it gives me the right platform and the right alphabet or symbolism to put across what I just feel we need to start to be able to embrace and understand and learn from, to enable us to have richer lives.
Yeah.
Because surely isn't that what it's about at the end of the day?
Isn't it
That,
about getting the most out of the human experience?
yes, yes, that for everyone, not just some chosen few, but
You know,
everyone. And there is an imbalance in what's been going on this planet. There's a total imbalance of rich, poor economies, all the hierarchy, the capitalism. And I never thought I was a kind of a rebel in this kind of area, but the imbalance and the injustice of what is going on in this, on this planet, and the damage that we are doing, not just to the planet, but to humankind.
In 700 BC, the Babylonian Mesopotamian Empire was thriving. And it was also the core base of a lot of our evolution in terms of justice, you know, and how the justice system works. And there was a ruler called El Hammurabi, which is also known as Hammurabi. He developed this code, which was basically an eye for an eye or a tooth for a tooth. It was the way of showing, like, if I steal from you, they're going to steal. I'm going to have the one that if I steal 2 chickens, I'm going to need to give you 3 chickens of mine in order to make up for it. So it is, fast forward, it is the punitive nature of our judicial system in the world, quite frankly, in the world. I mean, the United States does it better than anybody else, and death penalty or no death penalty. The idea of this has created an imbalance where, like I said, it's not 2 chickens for 2 chickens, it's 2 chickens for 3 chickens. You know, it's the idea of, if I do something wrong, then it's whatever. The fact that we're so punitive for doing something wrong is why, as a world, we lie so often.
Yes.
Just, I mean, think about that. Donald Trump was conditioned to never get caught. And yeah, I just brought him up because it's a real thing. You know, Boris Johnson, in his incredible, you know, his savoir-faire, whatever it is you're attracted to with, I know, right? He got caught in a conversation about what he felt was truth, but was really a manipulated reality. Putin is flat out lying to himself on a daily basis. You know, you have this lexicon because the punishment will be far worse than any crime than what we've committed. And I think we have to, you know, I just had this experience with my son who wasn't getting resolve for, you know, getting picked on. I don't know how mean it was, but it was definitely something that was occupying his time and his mind, and took his eye off of the things he should have been doing. And he got frustrated one day because it started again, and he used a word he shouldn't have used. It was something where he, of all the words he could have picked, it was the one
I know
that
what
just
it
got the
is.
rise.
I know what it is. And isn't it a huge example of what's happening in society today, that you dare not say that on this video? Because, and that is one of the big problems, that you cannot say that.
Well, it's a very benign word, but if it's taken out of context, it's a very not benign word, right? So, but again, in the world of TikToks and YouTubes and social medias and blah blah blah, it's villainized. But it's funny though, it's like we're so scapegoating the responsibility, but then we create these. And by the way, the person thought that sent me the letter that basically eviscerated me, and ugh, whatever. It was just one of those things where it's like, thanks for your anger and your judgment. But they thought they were doing it anonymously. And I'm like, I know exactly who you are. I know exactly who the F you are. And by the way, I find lost people in the woods. By the book, you'll read the story. I have that ability. I if I'm going to spend time on it, I'm going to figure it out, because Spirit's going to do me a solid and say, you need to do this. If Spirit's like, you got to let it go, they're going to tell me right up front, nope, not worth my time. But again, back to this, where he said the word because he knew he could get the rise out of everybody. He knew the word. It was a trigger word. And he's not like that at all. He's not, I mean, the kid doesn't have a mean racist bone in his body. He just doesn't. And but he knew he could get the teacher's attention, who wasn't satisfying his needs to protect him in that spot. He knew he could push back on those bullies because it would be the one thing that they would satisfy their lust for him to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And he even shrugged his shoulders to me, and he goes, yeah, Spirit told me to. Like, he basically said, Spirit told me to use the word. He's like, they told me to use the word. I go, who's they? And he goes, you know, they, the people you work with. And I'm like, oh, okay. My kid's going into the family business.
So it seems.
Just, him become my son by accident.
Yeah, all this conversation is, I think, hugely interesting and relevant to the fact that there's two things I want to say to lead us into the Chiron going direct, because first of all, you've got Jupiter moving into Aries, and just everyone that's watching needs to know this is a positive thing for every single
Super positive.
zodiac. It's a positive thing for every sign of the zodiac. Just watch you don't overextend yourself and exhaust yourself, because it's Jupiter and it's Aries, and Aries is like, whoa, let's go, off we go.
Yeah.
And you know, so, and Jupiter will exacerbate that, will exaggerate it. But I think that the point I want to get to next is with this Chiron going direct, because
let's talk about that.
You, Brandon, are of a generation, and we're looking at the guys who are sort of probably between, let's go between, or people, not just men, people who are between about 45 and, I'm not sure how long Chiron stays in a sign, but
52, 53. It's
you're talking about 8 or 9 years, aren't you?
Chiron is the big wobble. Chiron of all of the astrological
I'm going to Google
signs.
it, because someone will tell me, why didn't you do your homework? So I'm going to Google how long it takes.
Hold on a second. Stop right there. Why do you feel sensitive to get it right now? Why do you feel that pressure?
Well, because actually, I do think it's important.
Okay. You don't have to say anything else then. I trust you. Let's do it.
I do actually think
I just don't want you to do it because some asshole in
how
Newark.
long?
And by the way, you are an asshole in Newark.
Chiron.
Sorry, did I? And yes, I Googled how long it would take me
to
get to Newark. A little over 2.5 hours. I don't have another.
Oh, right. Chiron has an irregular orbit of 50 years.
Yeah.
It stays in a zodiac sign for approximately 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that people, you're 49. I hope you don't mind me saying
40,
that.
Oh yeah, 49 strong. I turned 50. Wait till I tell you what we're going to do for my 50th.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you what we're going to do for your 50th.
And I have the pictures.
And it won't involve a strap on.
There may be others that want a piece of that.
But the thing is, this is a generation. This is the 45, 46, 47, 40, you know, 40, well, 40, I can't count. I'm terrible.
Well, astrologically,
49, 50, 51.
If you're between 47 and 51 right now, you're in the middle of your Chiron. You know, you've hit your Chiron. And by the way, some people only have one Chiron return, which is, you know, okay, you go through it and you know, it might be difficult, might not be. If you have, and by the way, this is actually part and parcel what my astrology self-care class is all about.
Ah, that sounds like a good class.
Yeah, and it takes a look at your Chiron return, you know, so you understand how it comes together. And it's really kind of targeted, you know, for people. And by the way, there's other cycles you got to pay attention to. Jupiter returns, Saturn returns. You got to pay attention to what Mars is doing on a regular basis. And then of course, you know, your self-love with Venus. It's kind of it's an advanced, but not an advanced class. It's an advanced way of looking at it, but it's not advanced material. It's you know, anybody can learn. Even if you don't understand astrology at all, you can begin to look at the things that you need to do to pay attention to things like, why am I feeling this way? Why is this always a challenge? Why isn't this falling into place? Maybe you're not working with the timing. And I see this Chiron return in Aries. And again, it's in the 3rd house here.
And it's going direct. So you've had it retrograde for some time. Just look at all that energy in Capricorn in the 12th.
Oh, God.
Boy, it's been hard work, hasn't it?
Yeah, the stability of things, and it's squaring. It's squaring half of that chart.
Yeah.
Holy tough conversations, everybody.
Yeah.
And you know, it's Chiron represents, you know, just as a lesson point, Chiron is the great healer, is the wounded healer.
Yes.
You know, Chiron in its legend, you know, tried to heal everybody around them, but ended up taking on all the wounds themselves. In a nutshell, that's the story. And some of it is self-inflicted wounds, some of it is realization wounds. When it comes to things like, you know, past lives and understanding what karmic value it is that you bring forward. And again, karmic value is the lessons that you need to learn in this life. You know, take a look. You don't have to look any further. This is how you know that this direct is about past life recovery. you have the South Node sitting there in Scorpio in the 10th
Yeah.
house,
Yeah.
right? And maybe you've kind of had this public healing. Holy shit, does this like chart speak to me?
Carry on, carry on.
Because the 10th house is really kind of a public format.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is a call sign for healers in this generation, plus or minus 49 right now, into the 3rd house, which is communication, siblings, that family, that self-speak, all of that. And you've got a very sextile, you've got the sextile energy, which allows you to have this gentle conversation with yourself and to get almost kind of like public acceptance. Maybe this is also you stepping into the way of life of you doing healing on a regular basis.
Mm.
I mean, and to have all of that stuff in the 12th house, holy crap. How wide is Capricorn in this?
I
You
know, and it feels like what Capricorn is saying in that position for this chart. It's like saying, look, we know it's been hard work, but hey, you've nearly made it, because it's like this Capricorn energy is in the 12th house, so it's heading towards the 1st house. So again, it's at the end of its zodiacal run on this particular chart. It's going to move into the 1st house. So it's like, just carry on. Don't give up, even though with Chiron going. Yes, keep going. It may not change straight away. Keep going. Just keep going, because you have to think of the Capricorn energy, which I know you're really aware of, Brandon, of this goat that has to get to the top of the mountain. And this is like a spiritual journey. This is
kiss the goat. Kiss the goat.
Yeah. This is a spiritual climb. This is an ascension. This is we have to get to that ascended place. And that links in with the healing that you're talking about, with people that are going to be developing their healing qualities and talents. And, you know,
can you do me a favor and look at when Jupiter and Chiron go conjunct?
It's not, it's quite a way, actually. It's not that soon. Because
Chiron goes into, it might not even fully catch up. Well, it might.
Well, look, Jupiter goes into Taurus on May the 16th, my birthday.
Stop.
Yeah. And Jupiter will have been conjunct Chiron. Oh my God, my ephemeris doesn't give the position. Oh yes, it does give. Does it give the position of Chiron? Hang on, let me have a look. I reckon it's going to be sometime around Jupiter and conjunct Chiron is going to be sometime around spring, March, April.
Yeah, that's going to be the last big thing for me.
Yeah,
I think that's the big release for me with this Chiron. At being someone that's going through a Chiron.
My Apple Watch agrees. It said, I thought so.
Isn't it great when you like, by the way, I ran another 5K and I took 13 minutes off of it. Like, this is part of the healing part of it. When you're,
yeah, I saw your video.
Isn't it fun? I love doing that shit. I really do. And, I'm not saying it to brag. Oh yeah, I had a book come out. I ran a 5K, and I really realized that, like, the people that I surrounded myself with and the people that fell off and the attrition and the addition and the attrition, the people that are cheering for me don't feel bad about cheering for me. They, you know what I'm saying? And the people that, fell away were like, oh, you're doing it as a stunt, or, you're using Penny to make famous. And okay.
Actually, you've helped me move up.
You did the work. You had
you've given me the platform.
You had the ruby slippers the whole time. Like, that was, I was just like, yeah, why don't you click them together? You're like, holy shit, I didn't think of that. Like, that's, there's magic in that, but you did the work. Like, you had to make those videos. You had to figure out your production. You had to figure all that stuff out. Where back in the day, I used to think, oh, I'll take this on. I'll do it for you. Don't you understand? I can help you get there. And, energetically, I wasn't needing anything out of that, but but a thank you. And then I realized that the thank you didn't always kind of match the level of what went on. And I love our relationship because of that, because I didn't get involved, because I did encourage you, and because they were,
Right. So you did something different with me that you haven't done before in the past with others, which I think is quite interesting, because I also think that, that the way we were connected via the internet, really, our
crazy,
Aquarius in the seventh house. But I think
right?
that there is work that we're meant to do.
Sure.
And this is part of it, but this is only the beginning of it, as you well know.
Our second conversation was us picking apart our charts.
Yes. And we couldn't even broadcast it because it was
Yeah.
too.
Well, oh God, do you remember that? That
I
should be
do.
like we should do a year in review show.
Actually, that'd be quite interesting.
That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we should take so here's our homework in between Christmas and New Year is we'll do you pick out 5 things from any of the shows that we've done that you really liked, and and we'll pull apart like 2 or 3 seconds of it. And
Yeah.
not 2 or 3 seconds, but you understand, like a couple of
And,
minutes.
and I think if you've got time, you should do some of the outtakes.
Holy shit, some of the stuff that we that's why, like, now every time we talk we should just record it, because it's like
Yeah.
I really wish I had recorded the earthquake conversation. That was just
That was hysterical. And then I
we're
go,
just like, it's Armageddon everywhere.
okay.
I'm going,
But Brandon, I because you're psychic, I know that you can tell me if I'm going to die. And so if I go and get my nails done, am I going to die, or is it better I go home?
you were just like, are the cats going to miss me?
And should I get my nails done?
I can't believe, I teach a lot of classes, and of course they're on Zoom, and I can't believe your cats have never once gotten in the way.
No, well, Minky, when I still had Astropus,
Oh, okay.
he died in April, so you didn't have
That's
him
right.
much.
I remember that. I do
It's
remember
really,
Astropus coming on. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he's the one that would, but you see, at the moment, we've got the most crazy weather. It must be global warming. Let's just throw that on the pot.
Stop.
Because,
What's the temperature there?
well, this weekend, it's going up to 25 degrees, which
Oh.
is about 78.
It was 13 degrees here this morning.
It is crazy. We don't normally have this kind of weather in December. I would expect it to be 16 or 17 degrees. So what's that? That's about, I'd expect it to be
Like
about
50 to 60.
65 degrees.
Yeah.
60 or 65 degrees Fahrenheit.
This time of the year, we're usually at, we're into that time where it's going to go down to like maybe 28, 30 degrees. It's definitely freezing, but it's not frigid. Like, it's been frigid. Like, yeah, you're not
And
putting the Christmas decorations out now.
The UK has been absolutely, crippled by snow, which is so funny because in the UK, we get half an inch of snow. Oh, the trains can't run. We can't do anything. We're totally trapped.
Oh my God, really? Isn't train the most, isn't train the safest way to travel in snow?
It's the wrong kind of snow.
What do you mean it's the wrong kind of snow? Like,
That's what they say. In the autumn, they say it's the wrong kind of leaves that cause problems on the line. And in the winter, they say it's the wrong kind of snow.
So it's a socialist snow is what you're really getting at.
But they're all on strike at the moment in the UK. Everyone's
are they really?
Yeah, the nurses are striking, the firemen are striking, the ambulance drivers are striking because they want more money. Well, I mean, fair enough. Fair enough.
It's got to come from somewhere, though. I'm going to pull up this Chiron direct here, and this kind of energy. I mean, you've got, and by the way, they're striking because they're saying things like, I got to take care of my family.
Yes. And because of Putin, because all the bills have gone up, because gas has gone really high in price, oil is really expensive. And so Europe is being crippled economically by Putin.
Well, look at the chart right now. You've got to bring up yourself by the bootstraps. The bootstraps a little different. Bootstraps. And the reason why I said that, hey, I'm gonna, I need to take care of my family, is look at Uranus sitting in the sitting in the
I
fourth
noticed
house,
that.
wide conjunct with the North Node. So it's kind of like, I have to do this
Yeah.
fight for us. I have to go and do this. And the fact that Chiron is going direct is that there's something in that where you've still got to face it. You've still got to face the idea that maybe you spend too much. I mean, this is a conversation, you know, with my boys. Like, how much do we spend on them this year? I
Yeah.
have stuff that they haven't even opened from last Christmas, from 2 Christmases ago. I'm like, why don't we just wrap up all the stuff they didn't use last year? Just to be that guy.
And to make a point.
And to make a point, you know, but we got to deal with the Santa thing. It's like, you know, I'm trying to, I mean, let's be honest, Santa should be accused of breaking an entry. I mean, you know, you know, it's kind of like, you know, but with this climate right now, I mean, you know, we're not too far away from the cancel culture thing. And once you get away with that, I mean, I love the fact that I don't know if you have this in Britain or in England or in Europe, but we have this thing called Elf on the Shelf where you move it every day.
Oh, yes. We've Europe has taken it over. So it was an American thing, but I mean, I think it's a load of rubbish personally, but that's just, you know. Oh God, I just lost 500 subscribers.
That's it. But you can afford it now, Brandon. I could afford a couple hundred. I could lose a couple hundred. It was funny when my channel subscribes were going down, because you have to understand that like robots, you know, start subscribing because they monitor you and all that other stuff. And I got under the monitor radar. Penny calls me so worried. You're like, I'm so worried about that. I go, I could stand on Fifth Avenue and like shoot people and not lose any subscribers. Like I said something stupid like that. And you were like, that's the worst Trump I've ever heard. And I'm like, well, it was on purpose. No, but the elf on the shelf thing.
On the elf.
You know.
Or the elf on the shelf.
Put that shelf up the elf. It's, you
I mean,
know,
it is quite funny actually, in all seriousness.
As a parent, you can get creative with it. And
so what do you do? Move it around the house, and the kids have got to
every single time they wake up, it's what they look for. It's how they keep
brilliant.
You know, and their beliefs.
Like an advent calendar. You know, the advent calendar where you
that?
Open the 25th of December, and it must be today, but today is only the whatever we are today, 14th of December. And but I've eaten all the chocolate.
Of course. My advent calendar says tomorrow's Christmas. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny though, because through their discovery of it, you know, of this elf, I mean, that's what keeps their magic alive. Well, I really had purpose in this. I can't remember it now, but there's that part of like watching them still be in awe. And as a parent, this has everything to do with the economy. As a parent, you're like, okay, well, I know things are a little bit tough. And I'm like, oh, I have this obligation to this person. I want to do right by this person. I'm, you know, getting all of this stuff, you know, for this person or that person or whatever. But it's more, I've realized that spending time with someone is the bigger thing. So for the boys, I'm making sure that they have experiences. Hey, we're going to go do this. We're going to do this together. We're going to go have this time.
Give them love.
And that's, you know, yeah, they've got material stuff and they've got handheld.
Give them love. It's about love, isn't it?
Yeah. Last night I fell asleep watching a movie with my little guy, and he's like, you know, I've seen this like 20 times. And then I'm like, I've seen it 2,000 times. So the fact that I'm sitting here watching this at all clearly lets you know that I'm here for you. But,
yeah,
you know, it's still funny when he screams Santa. But there's, you know, I think with the energy and the decisions that you have to make as a parent come back to this fiscal responsibility, this fiscal, you know, thing. And it was funny, I had my credit card be breached a couple of weeks ago, and I see how many things I don't pay for anymore. And I get this notification, oh, we cannot renew your subscription. I'm like, do I need it? Nope.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
I'm like, I don't need
it's a really good exercise to go through all your direct debits and think,
get your card stolen, or just change it. You can walk into the bank and say, I need a new one. And they're like, why? And then you're like, Amazon. Which, by the way, the book is available if you want it before Christmas. You can order it today. Look at that. Listen, I
I
don't mean to
think
be a
on that
honk, but
note, we should start to think about bringing things to a conclusion
a
for today.
conclusion. And by the way, what's the last page? What does the last page say? By the way, the last entry in my book is entitled "The Shiny New Penny." Actually, it's called the final page. The last thing that I said in my book, my high school, do you have a high school quote?
No,
Like in your yearbook?
no,
Like,
I
you
left
know,
at
like,
16. I hated it. I hated school. I left when I was 16.
well, and look at how far looks have gotten you. It's amazing. You've done amazing. So, but did you have a quote in your yearbook, in your senior yearbook or
We
whatever?
don't have things like that in England.
Oh gosh. Well, there's something to be said. And that's why you lost the war. All right. So sometimes I just say shit.
But we
So
won the war against Hitler.
that would be, oh my gosh, you had to bring him up. By the way, let's get Kanye on this. My high school quote was, I can divide my life up into two categories, the things that are funny and the things that don't matter. That was my precocious 18-year-old shot across the world. And the
Wow.
last line of it's kind of a run-on sentence, so I'll read the whole thing. I've learned how to apply the awkward and sometimes crazy connection with spirit. I found purpose with it instead of fear. And all I know is that the opposite of fear is love. That's how my last line of the book is.
Amen. Amen.
You know? So it's, you talk about lessons learned and you talk about why do we look at astrology. I have absolutely ridden astrology over the past 3 years through this journey, and it's been amazing. And the meeting you, it was a new perspective I needed, and I'm grateful going into this. I'm just grateful. So if I can say I'm grateful to you, then here we are.
And I'm grateful to you, as you well know.
Hey, would you be a guest on my podcast?
I might. I must say, I quite fancy that 5-question thing or 5-minute thingy.
5 good minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go on.
I already know what I would ask you.
Go on. Put me on one of them.
No. Oh, you know what? Maybe we'll do that for a live show next week.
Oh, yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
funny.
Bring in
I'll
the
do
5
that.
questions. The
So it'll be
5-minute.
like a combo thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, the way my schedule is going to go, I'm going to do the stream of consciousness. It's pre-recorded. But I still have the time.
When are we going to do our live? When are we going to do our live?
Next Wednesday. Let's still
Next
do the
Wednesday.
21st, and I'll
Okay.
announce it, and we'll invite some people, and I'll have some equipment ready to go for us to do the 5 good
Okay.
minutes. Do you want to do the 5 good minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll
Yeah.
think up some good questions.
Oh, it'd be
I will
fantastic.
absolutely put you on the spot.
Oh,
I don't need to do your chart. So I have like 3 segments that I do.
No, instead of doing in my chart, do a bit of mediumship with me.
Shit, here's your dad. All right, you all done? You hate it when I do shit like that. You know that mediums. So when we were talking last week about when Annie and I started to connect, you were just like, it was like spirit just sparked. Like, that's what we like. Like, let us stay in the minute. Let us stay in the moment. Fair enough. I really want to get drunk on air with you. Maybe that's what we'll do for New Year's Eve.
New Year, yes.
Oh, do you want to plan a live show on New Year's Eve?
Oh, yeah.
I think I have readings. I think I should be able to do it though, because I've got events to do. I do have some events.
Saturday. It's a Saturday.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything that time of the
No.
year.
And at the moment, I have no plans.
You have no plans on New Year's Eve? I have like 15 requests. I have to pick one. For home party, they're events.
I mean, I might get invited, but I haven't yet.
Kidding. No, you will. You will. Drop my name. He's such an asshole. All right. But the other thing that I do on the podcast is the person who's a guest gets to choose who they send their heart tap out to. And I've never asked you this. Who would you give a heart tap out to?
Does it have to be someone who's living?
No, that's the beauty of it.
Oh,
I'm transcendental, baby.
my mum.
Uh,
My mum. My
Beautiful.
lovely mum.
Well,
Riz.
in the meantime, we're going to give each other the heart tap to remind one another that we love and care for each other, and to remind you to simply keep going. Penny, always a pleasure. Love your work. Love you.
I love you too.
See you
Bye,
guys for the
darling.
live next week. Mwah. I can't believe that we have to add this on at the end of it. My gosh, how many are you, like 5 or 6 in?
Yeah.
Get it, girl. So I can't believe we sign off and then it's like, oh shit. And then of course we have to reset everything and whatever. I'll plug this in at the end of it. It'll be
Is this still whiskey and bagels?
it's of course. You and I are together. It's always whiskey and bagels, my dear. But now I'll be able to do like a separate like reaction video kind of thing. So
So what are you gonna do?
Jesus Christ, you're a mess. You're sloppy over there. You're sloppy over there. I don't care what time it is. No, well, let's talk about, the Baby It's Cold Outside. We talked about it being like just like a fun little project, and you had to get your recording done. You sent it to me. I did the mix. We pulled it together. I got soft in one part, but
I have to give credits to Tony G.
Yeah, Tony absolutely.
Because Tony talked me through GarageBand, and I think I now know how to use GarageBand. So Tony, thank you very much. I really appreciate what you did for me.
Which is awesome, because he also was like, hey, what other help do you need on this? And that's what we needed help on. We needed help right there. We need technical on the other side of the pond, not so good. Do I turn this way?
Hey, no. Turn this way, and then, but you've got to come right up to the middle line. So it's like kind of like, mwah.
Like one of the. Well, you're not making the effort either.
Oh, what you mean? Hang on.
Oh, you know what though? How this is recording, just to let you know, I have to go this way. Oh God, Betty, that's just it's so wrong.
Oh look, I even looked
So
like
wrong.
the surface.
So wrong. Well, I'm going to tell you that the way
You're
that it is on your
blushing.
screen,
You're blushing.
I absolutely
You're
am.
red.
I don't know what that is. So,
There we go.
well, the way that I have to do it this way because of how I know it looks different on yours, but you have them separate. Ready? There you go. You're not even. I'm not editing this. All right, let's watch the video. Now that you're half in the bag. Good Lord. So I'm going to share the sound, and you guys, like we said, thanks for sticking around to the end of this. Look at that. And away we go. I'm going to make this into a full screen, and then we're just going to listen to it. You should be able to hear it now, right?
I really can't
But
stay.
baby, it's cold outside.
I've got to go home.
It's cold outside.
This evening has been
Been hoping that you
so very nice.
I'll hold your hands just like
Subscribers will start to worry. Subscribers will be pacing the floor.
Listen to that fireplace.
Really, I'd better hurry. Well, maybe just one little
Put
drink
some
more.
records on while I
The
pour.
neighbors might think,
Baby, it's cold out there.
what's in this drink?
You could kind of guess.
I wish I knew
You
how
guys are like stars.
to break this spell.
I'll take your hand. Your hair looks
I
sweet.
ought to say no,
Mind if
Brandon.
I move in?
At least I'm gonna say that I
What's the
tried.
sense of it? Not
I
right.
really can't stay.
Baby, don't hold out.
But it's
Cold outside.
We clearly recorded this 2 separate times. That's okay. It works.
Oh right, okay. What are we doing now?
Outside.
The answer is no.
It's just getting cold outside.
But your welcome has been
How lucky that you
so
dropped in.
nice and warm.
Look out the window at the
Subscribers will be suspicious.
Yeah, something that rhymes with the wishes.
Subscribers will be knocking at the door.
You live on a tropical shore.
Subscribers, well, their minds are vicious.
Yeah, they kind of are.
Oh, go on. Just another drink
You
more.
kind of drink a lot. That's okay.
I gotta go home.
But baby, you'll freeze out
Hey.
there.
What's in this drink.
Oops.
You've really been great.
Yep, well, thank you.
Don't you see?
How can you do this thing to
There's
me?
bound to be talk on Facebook.
Think of my lifelong
At least there will
sorrow.
be plenty implied.
If you caught pneumonia and
I really can't stay.
get over this old down,
Oh,
baby, it's cold
outside.
outside.
Oh, it's so cold outside. Okay, I'll stay.
Now what do you want to do?
It's great. It really is great.
Oh my God.
Thanks for doing that. That was fun. You should pick out another song. I think you guys should comment below what other songs we should do.
I've thought of one.
It's fun.
Do
So
we,
think of
do we
another
have to
song.
do heart taps again?
Ah, fuck that. You're half of the bag. You're having a hell of a time. You're like
But listen, this track now has to be our theme song for Whiskey and Bagels.
yes, I'll tune it in. I'll do like a little snippet at the beginning of it so people can tease it. And then also the other thing I was going to tell you is that this will be on iTunes like in about another half hour, 45 minutes. So I'll send you all that. I'll get all that on there. Okay. This is why you don't burn any bridges. I'll see you later. Mwah. I love you.
Love you, darling.
All right. See you later. Bye.
I really can't
But
stay.
baby, it's cold outside.
I've got to go home.
It's cold outside.
This evening has
Been
been
hoping that you
so very nice.
I'll hold your hands just like I
Subscribers will start to worry.
was.
Subscribers will be pacing the floor.
Listen to that fireplace roar.
Really,